On va commencer à laisser rentrer les gens aussi. Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue. On va laisser les gens rentrer petit par petit. We're gonna let people come in, trickle in. If you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, you're more than welcome to do so. We'd love to know who's here with us. Si vous voulez vous introduire dans le chat, sentez-vous libre de le faire. Ce serait un plaisir de savoir qui est ici avec nous aujourd'hui. Peut-être votre nom, votre organisation et qu'est-ce que vous aimeriez apprendre aujourd'hui. And maybe you could share your name, your organization, and what you're looking forward to learn today. Hello, we have a couple more people coming in. Bienvenue, welcome. Just gonna give it a couple more minutes before we get started. On va juste lui donner ça quelques minutes de plus avant de commencer. Welcome to the people joining us. Bienvenue aux gens qui se joignent à nous. Donnez une autre minute. One more minute. All right. Donc, bienvenue tout le monde. Pour ceux qui ne me connaissent pas, je m'appelle Annika Chiasson, je suis la directrice générale du réseau environnemental du Nouveau-Brunswick. C'est un plaisir de vous avoir ici avec nous aujourd'hui. Hi everyone, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Annika Chiasson. I'm the executive director of the New Brunswick Environmental Network. I just have a couple of housekeeping things before I hand over the reins to Samuel to get us started on this first in a two-part series. First and foremost, the majority of this webinar is going to be in English, but there may be some questions in French towards the end of the session. If you do require interpretation, all you need to do is select the interpretation button in the bar at the bottom of your screen and then select English if you're in need of interpretation. If you can't find it, it might be under the More button, which looks like a circle with three little dots. Donc, bonjour tout le monde. Quelques petites choses avant de commencer, avant que je passe la parole à Samuel. La présentation d'aujourd'hui va être surtout faite en anglais. Donc, si vous avez besoin d'interprétation, il suffit de sélectionner le bouton d'interprétation sur votre barre en bas, puis sélectionner French pour entendre toute la présentation d'aujourd'hui en français. Si vous n'arrivez pas à le trouver, ça se peut que vous trouviez le bouton sous More qui ressemble à un cercle avec trois petits points. Donc, faites sûr de le sélectionner si vous l'avez besoin. One last thing as well, we are recording this webinar, so if you do not wish to be on the recording, feel free to turn off your camera. Une dernière note, c'est que nous sommes en train d'enregistrer ce webinaire, donc si vous ne voulez pas apparaître sur le webinaire, sentez-vous libre d'éteindre votre caméra. Donc, sur ce, je passe la parole à Samuel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on video editing for social media in a bilingual context. So I hope you got your lunch ready if you do, or if you don't, that's fine too. So this will be like an interactive webinar. So feel free to participate in the questions and the debates and this little lunch and learn chat for digital storytelling for nonprofits because I don't have all the answers. We're gonna throw some notions out the window in this webinar. So the goal is to get you guys to participate, you folks, and like we're gonna have so this is a video in a series of two webinars. So we have video editing for social media in a bilingual context today. And then in late March, we have another one on digital storytelling, like video storytelling for nonprofits. So please go to the NBN website where you subscribed, and the next meeting is in that meeting. So if you want to actually go there and subscribe to the next one, we're going to take that what we learned from this webinar and we're going to put it in the future in another meeting. So we're gonna look at how the social media landscape is and how we best promote those videos and how we best make those stories a reality. Showing your stories for with digital storytelling is really important. So we're going to look at that today in late March. So I'm Samuel from Nature NB. I'm the communications coordinator. As a bilingual nonprofit, Nature NB has a very specific set of challenges that I'm sure many in Canada resonate with because we're bilingual, we're French English, and I feel like managing one page in two languages is not always easy, especially with video when they recommend your algorithm to two different audiences. So we're just going to look at like how best to capture the bilingual spirit of, well, we're in New Brunswick, so this might not be the reality for everyone here, but I feel like in New Brunswick we have like a really unique reality where our province is officially bilingual, so we have like requirements to get accessibility for French speakers and for English speakers, so we can't only publish in one language in a lot of cases. So hopefully you have some shared experiences that you can relate to that. So the goals today will be to show basic editing principles, so get you started on video editing, and also to show that editing can be quick or detailed if we want to. Like it can be there's two major formats that we'll look at. So there's horizontal and vertical, and we'll look at that in the goals today for video editing. And then to begin talking about experimentally the NGO's role in the video storytelling sphere. So that is basically like what is the NGO? What do the NGOs have to do with video today? Like is it important to do video as an NGO? We're going to look at that, and then the role of video in a bilingual context. So that's another big topic of today. So that's a great start. So it's only a start to the discussion. If you have any question, you can definitely email me at NatureNB. And this is basically part of a bigger reflection on how we best respond to the needs of nonprofits in 2026. So we have launched a website called Atlantic Nature, which we can share the link in the chat. So Atlantic Nature is basically to show to the government that nature organizations are important and that they should be fully funded, not fully funded by the government, but a big part of our funding comes from the government, and it should be that way because I feel like nonprofits have a lot to give to the society, and we're uniquely positioned to actually make things happen in the environmental sphere. So Atlantic Nature is to show the government that it's possible to basically uh, to finance nature and have it have show real results. So we're going to go to the next slide. I'm going to start with a question. So with these questions, I'm going to ask you to go on your phone if you can, and then scan the QR code with your phone. And I want to basically ask you from 1 to 10, because social media changes a lot. How much has your organization actually changed its social media strategy much since the past few years? Like, I kind of worded that question a bit weird, but how much has your organization changed its social media strategy since the past few years? So well, from 1 to 10, we're actually going to look at the results, and you can scan the QR code or go to the link in the chat, and then you can place yourselves on this scale. So this is a scale of 1 to 10, just to show like how much your organization is basically repositioning itself, facing like the recent changes in social media. How people have responded to social media. So I'm getting different inputs. I'm getting people on the 8. I'm getting people on the 7, on the 5. See, we're changing a lot of our social media strategy, and it's not only a question of like being on social media and being like, oh, let's just do like, let's just do a post today and let's just keep doing that for every day and then not change anything. I think it's a lot to do with repositioning ourselves with the trends and what's going on with everything. So we're going to talk about one thing today a lot. We're going to talk about AI video fatigue. So, well, AI in general, because AI is a double-edged sword. It's a good tool for doing videos, but it's also can be used too much. So AI video, also known as slop, has damaging effects on the brain. So uh, if you look at too much AI video, I mean, social media throws that to your face every day. You go on social media and then you get a bunch of videos that aren't real. Well, it can really damage your brain, and I think science has proven that a lot. You can just go on search for it, and you can find out that slop videos, well, they're not good, for you. So as nonprofits, we actually do lots of on-the-ground work that can be automated. So a lot of work that's like has to do with real things, like like nature. We have to do with people. We have to do with donators that actually give us money for what we do, and then we can't really turn that into, well, AI video is not the thing for us. We need to use other parts of AI, which is tools of AI, but that can be used for good instead of being used for showing you false things or fake images. So uh, I also don't have a crystal ball, so I can't really predict what will happen in the next few years. So let's throw the crystal ball out the window. Let's just make sure that it's not. Let's just make sure that I don't predict anything from the future. Like I'm not here to predict anything from the future, basically, is what I'm saying. But for me, the rise of slot culture means a need for human content, authenticity, trust, and fidelity. People are not looking for people are looking out of nonprofits for these four things. Like they're looking for human content, which brings authenticity, which brings trust, which brings fidelity. That's why we need to use AI as a tool and not as a replacement. And the reason I say that is because storytelling is an important part of social media outreach, which is increasingly becoming point of view focus. So your point of view is probably the most important thing you can convey through social media, through a video, through real video, through doing your reels and like your YouTube and everything. So we're gonna basically see how video can do that. That can be done by just filming ourselves in the field. So if you have basically an iPhone camera and you basically have the means, like I'm not just saying iPhone, I'm also saying like all the phones that are like Android, everything that's being sold as a phone now has a good video capability, unless you get like one of those really old flip phones that are actually a trend right now. But if you have a smartphone, you can just film yourself in the field and then publish by through the editing software often even that you do. So it's not really complicated, and we're going to look at like reasons why we should be doing that as nonprofits. So why use video? In 2026, every platform has it. So you can't really go aside with video. Like I think if you go on TikTok, Instagram, Meta, all those platforms, even Substack starting to do video now. Well, that's not really on the nonprofit side, but it's like every platform, even the written ones, have video. I feel like the Twitter things, you can even embed YouTube videos in them. Like you can be creative about it. It can also be very human centric. So video is an opportunity to show your real self through the use of a camera, through the use of your face, your words. It's the opportunity to really showcase what you do as an organization. You have authentic storytelling. You get very flexible ways to tell your story. And most people have a smartphone, so they can watch your videos with their smartphone, and you can create videos with your smartphone, provided that you haven't quit smartphones altogether, which a lot of people are doing right now. So yeah, but most people are still on social media, so let's take advantage of that and actually tell our story the right way. I'm just gonna try it. Okay. So in 2026, the second question, do you feel that you are in tune with your audience's needs on social media? Again, go on your phone, try to go on the way that you responded to this little poll, and then tell us, like in 2026, do you feel that you are in tune with your audience's needs on social media? This will tell us a lot about the metrics and everything. So sad for no and happy for yes and everything in between. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how much are you in tune with your audience? Yeah, some people are responding very not good. Well, not so good and very good. That's it. Okay, so yeah, there's some things all across the board. Not a lot of people are saying no. That's a good thing. Because I feel like in 2026 a lot of us are not in tune so much. There are some of us that are very in tune. It all depends, but I feel like a lot of us are like middle of the pack, right? We're like looking at our audience and we're like, yeah, this is not this doesn't feel like it's being reflecting actually the people that are that are watching us right now. I feel like social media is changing so much that it's really hard to tell for me the audience's needs. And then yeah, there's so many things that we could say about that, but we only have an hour. But anyway, I'm gonna switch to the next slide. But for us nonprofits, I feel like followers and likes are a vanity metric. So unless you're looking to be an influencer, and that's a big part of what we're doing as nonprofits, is not looking at followers and likes. We're actually looking at action instead of attention. So where you're looking at that person on their phone, they have your attention and things. If you're an influencer, you're monetizing your clicks, you're monetizing your actual retention time, your watch time. But nonprofits, what do we want? We want donations, volunteers, newsletter subscribers, participants. And it's all a question of like how many of these metrics do you actually need so you can pare down and focus on what's important. So, well, I feel like if you make videos, you're not going to get 10,000 followers out of your first video because it's really hard to go viral. And even if you went viral, what are you going to do with that viral video? Are you going to get donators? Are you going to get newsletter subscribers? Are you going to get participants? Like, don't try to go viral. Try to capture your existing audience and try to make them attuned to your story. I feel like we always need to go back to that. Be consistent with your point of view and your brand in your videos first and foremost. And that's how you stay consistent because you need to stay consistent for your followers to actually uh, for your followers to know that you're out there and you're doing things. But consistency isn't the absolute, but I feel like it helps to have some videos going out, once in a while. And then for it to be interesting, for it to be like for you to showcase your story and for you to actually put forward what you have. So be consistent, I mean, with your point of view and your brand. So question, for now, are you a dedicated social media communication staff, or do you have one, or is it shared amongst other staff in your organization? So we're going to ask you to answer this again. Do you have a dedicated staff for communications? This helps a lot when doing video, but if you don't, that's fine too, because you don't need much capacity to do video. And I feel like, yeah, you're just gonna be able to answer this, and we're gonna see how many people actually have a dedicated communication staff. Now, are we getting the right responses? Oh, I think I haven't switched. There we go. So yeah, you have one or more communication staff. That means you definitely have the capacity to do video, or if I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's just we're going to look at that because I feel like when people think of video, sometimes they think of like, oh, we need like a big production, we need a big production capacity. And I feel like video can just be like 3 seconds, 4 seconds, it can just be, you look at the reels on Instagram, it's like sometimes it's 3 seconds, 10 seconds. It just takes a bit of willpower, and that's what we're looking at. Hypothetically, do you have the resources to create video? This is not a question that you need to answer. It's just something that you need to ask. And the resources is different than the strategic. Think about that. The resources is different than the strategic positioning to do video. So not everybody needs to do video, but you probably have more resources than you think in making video. So because long or short, there's two formats in video. You have a vertical short form. So you have a TikTok, you have Meta Reels, YouTube Shorts. So basically, like you have the vertical format. So this is like the thing that you see. This is basically the format that you get on Instagram and on on YouTube Shorts and on Meta Reels. And then the horizontal format is mostly YouTube, so you can get a really more high quality video that are long. So it's basically between long and short. The vertical video is best for engagement and shareability, and the horizontal is best for user retention and connection. So you have vertical and horizontal, lower quality video in vertical and lots of competition for higher quality production in horizontal. So these are two formats. And then for the equipment, you can just use your phone if you do vertical. So you don't need a camera with filming if you do vertical. But for actually filming 4K, you need well, you get a lot of competition in horizontal videos for filming. You get a f- you probably would like a 4K camera if you want to do horizontal video. I'm not like I'm just telling the reality because there's so much competition for quality in the horizontal video. But vertical video is a lot less production quality and it's a lot more engaging and for viewers and shareable. So there's really two different formats. And then equipment for editing, there's the higher end phones that have the editing capabilities. So like on a higher end phone, you have the editing softwares that are we're going to look at. So like you have different things like CapCut and things that don't really need any RAM. So like you need like a higher end phone, but like you're not going to looking at the same RAM capacities as a computer, for example. But you can also edit your phone videos on your computer. So like your vertical videos, you can edit them on your computer and you can send them to your phone or send them to Instagram via your computer for people to watch them on your phone. And then you have the computer with a 4K with the 4K capabilities. So the computer is better for editing horizontal, obviously, because it's a lot more high quality. But you need 16 to 32 gigs of RAM, which is RAM is like the memory, the live memory. So when you're buying a computer for work, you might as well look at the RAM. Is it actually like doing what good editing capability for what I need, you know? So like if you're looking at like editing little phone videos, you probably need a 12 to 16 gigabytes of RAM. Computer, you need like 16 to 32 gigabytes of RAM minimum. So you're looking at two di really different categories of videos there. And like if we're looking at the software, so the objective of this webinar is not to look at the software in detail. You know, we're just looking at names. So we're going to have this screen again at the end with like you can look at it and probably Google the software that you want. But on mobile, you get CapCut Mobile, which is free for a certain number of exports. So like you get CapCut Mobile that is $0 if you only do a few exports a month, or you can pay for it. It's like something like 100 a year or something for CapCut Basic, and then you get the Pro version. So it's not the most expensive one. Premiere Mobile seems free to me. It's pretty new. Haven't looked at it much, but it's looking to be free. I would beware on that because it's Adobe, but you can look at different options. I feel like they have extra features if you pay, but you can try it for free, I think. And then there's a social media editing, which is also free. But these have more like basic capability. There are Instagram edits, there's TikTok, there's different platforms that have like their embedded video edit in the social media. So there's that. But we're not gonna look at software in detail because software is not the important part of video editing. On the desktop, you have Premiere Desktop, which is probably like one of the most expensive ones because it's a recurring membership that you need to pay each month. So you have like the Premiere Desktop with I mean for the full Adobe suite, it's now close to $100 a month. So it's really expensive. There's also the CapCut Pro, which is uh closer to 200 a year. So that's much cheaper than Adobe. And then there's Final Cut Pro for the desktop, which is a one-time fee, I think, for buying it. And there's also DaVinci Resolve, which is free for basic features. So you have a lot of options on the desktop, which is what I'm saying for editing. Um, Theory videos. So if you want to go on YouTube to actually look at video editing, this is probably your best bet in terms of like learning how to video edit. Because I feel like if you go on YouTube and then you take good notes, because if you go on YouTube and you don't take good notes, you're actually gonna forget about a lot of things. But I feel like you have to either take notes or do it yourself. So where I'm gonna put that as a disclaimer before I actually explain the different YouTube videos that are good to search for. But the theory videos are important to know where to start. So how to start video editing on YouTube, it's like an example of that. But theory videos are like basically like how I would start video editing. Like an expert tells you how where they would start to video edit because it can feel really overwhelming. So they can say like, oh, well, you can need to focus on story, you need to focus on emotion, things like that. And then there's the tutorials for those who want to deep dive into the software and techniques. So you have the your software, you put the software in YouTube, like in the search, and then you put tutorial after, and then you get the explanation for that usually lasts like many minutes and like maybe sometimes an hour or two. So you get like really detailed explanations of different software. And then the tips and tricks for those who want to know about like standalone concepts, like basic editing cuts. The tips and tricks are like more for like targeted, targeted practice and targeted examples of like, basic editing cuts is like 10 basic editing cuts, you get 20 basic editing cuts or like whatever you want, camera movements, whatever you want. So YouTube is a great source of guidance for this kind of stuff. I can't really teach you in an hour, so this is not the goal of this webinar. So I'm going to keep going in the next slide because I'm going to talk to you about the basics of video editing, but in a theory format, because I feel like without a story, well, it's a YouTuber that told me this, but it's just a matter of going to YouTube and noticing. Without a story, your footage is just a bunch of random clips. It doesn't take a genius to think about that. But I feel like without a story, a video is just a bunch of footage. And like if you have your story, it becomes much easier to do your video. And that can be done with like a script. You can do it with a bunch of things, but you can even put your videos together in your mind and then from what you have as footage and then just do it. Like you don't need to write a screenplay for every video that you do, for example. But story first is a great guideline because what emotion do you want to feature, You got to have a narrative flow. Narration helps, but it's not necessary. And then the point I had last is don't keep every shot because it's really you don't you shouldn't be scared of making sacrifices in video editing because you want to keep the attention of the person watching it. And if you keep every single shot, you're gonna have a lot of shots that aren't necessary. And even if somebody like really made that express decision to put that shot in so that you had a good shot, if it's not good in the final cut, it doesn't make the cut. You often hear of movies spending millions of dollars in like cut footage. That's normal. It just comes with movies. So yeah, narrative flow is the most important. And narration, I mean like narration, voice narration, it helps, but it's not necessary, and we'll talk about that later too. So sound, you can have stunning visuals, but if your sound is bad, people will click away. That's another good quote that I found. Same with the music. So I feel like sound is like hit or miss. It can be some people have sound on, some people have sound off. But if they put their sound on for watching videos and they don't like the sound that you have, like because of sound quality or something like that, it's often related to sound quality sounding just bad. People will just scroll to the next video or click away. So with music, also if it's too loud or if it's too different or if it's too overbearing on the voice, people might click away. And then, oh, I forgot to translate that slide, but it basically says use a dedicated microphone. Don't put music too loud, so use a dedicated microphone for sound. Don't put the music too loud and use ideally two sound sources. So like if you put the music too loud, that is gonna cancel all of your narration efforts. But two sound sources allows you to actually go in the field and be confident about having the sound that you need. Having an extra microphone can really help, but it's not necessary, but it really helps in your sanity. When you actually go out in the field and you record something, it can actually help and thinking that do I have everything that I need to actually do this video? And if you lose your sound, you're gonna lose like a lot of things for narration and stuff. If you have like an interview or something, these are more complicated parts of video. Often in the video, you can just put music over the video, and it'll just like capture your images perfectly. So you can just put music over B-roll. But I feel like if you want to tell a story, you need to have good sound. So tell a story through narration. And then there's the pace. So according to the vibe you chose, you need to use proper pacing. So the vibe is what I'm talking about here is the energy or like the actual well in a video you want to choose the emotion that you want to convey. So according to that vibe, you need to use the proper pacing. Like for example, the cut speed variation for the pace, consider the length of takes when taking video and editing. Like the cut speed variation is like if you have the length of your take, you have your length and then you put it one after the other. If the energy is slow, it takes more time to go from one frame to the other, and you get like that extra second of like break between frames. You might want to cut that or keep it. It really depends on your pace decision. So these are all things that you need to take into account for to have good video. But uh, above all, there's no recipe. So like there's no magical recipe for video editing. We're gonna throw the recipe book out the window and just yeah, because it's really up to you in making good video. And I might have explained something that it doesn't hold true for you, but I'm just explaining what I've learned over years of doing video editing because I do motion design and I feel like it's one of the more advanced parts of video editing. But when yeah, after looking at many YouTube tutorials, they tend to say the same thing. They tend to say that these three things are the most important, but again, there's no magical recipe. Some people have 4-second videos, some people have 10-second videos in their actual promotion, and there's in their social media strategy, and there's no real, you know, there's just a hook. There's just time for a hook in the 4 to 10 seconds. There's just time for the little part at the beginning where you actually hook the people, the viewers into your video, and then it's over. So there's no magical recipe for this, and it's not easy to sum up. So I hope you at least learn something out of that. So we're going to switch to the bilingual aspect of the webinar because to you, what is the biggest challenge when making bilingual videos? So scan that QR code again if you're on your phone, but you go to the same URL if you're looking in the chat. But I feel like we're going to look at challenges when making bilingual videos because yeah, it's a word cloud. So we're going to look at the word cloud because when making bilingual videos, it can be really hard, to fit everything together. You see, I see space, I see different things. Well, I think space is a good one because in my head I see different things because there's space, there's also the fact that people are maybe not targeting the targeted by the right algorithm. I mean, in bilingual video, you get people that are well, there's the content of the video and there's the social media that actually pushes you towards a certain audience, and then people might not even understand. See, I see audience. I get the same question. Like, people might not understand the video itself, like the language of the video. So how do you factor for that, and how do you do good bilingual videos that will be understood in different languages? So there's captions, there's tone, there's length, there's audience, there's space. I feel like space is a big one, yeah, because it's hard to cram many languages into, well, two languages, which is already a lot, into a single frame. So that's a really interesting conversation to have. So I'm going to launch a debate here. So you're welcome to participate by opening your mic or talking or in the chat, and we can maybe sum that up later. So since most bilingual NGOs have only one account, how do we best implement bilingualism in short form videos? So like this is like a debate that I'm having in my head right now, and I'm just like I'm just looking at options, for it to be easier in making bilingual videos. And like what have been your experiences as a nonprofit? Like how do we best implement the bilingualism in short form videos is what I'm asking. So please let me know if you do have any experience you can share. You can open your mic and just talk.
For me, this is less video and more generally in speaking as a francophone. I know that not everybody has the capacity to do this, but oftentimes when you see francophone content, it's been translated from English. Um, and sometimes it's nice to have French first content.
Mhm.
So switching up what shows up first might be a way to make your audience feel a little bit more included, and bring perhaps an aspect of your audience that's not touched on as much or as often.
Yeah, that's a great question. Oh, it's a great addition because I feel like yeah, we're thinking about what makes the most sense for metrics, and we're looking at all of these metrics in terms of numbers, and we're looking at like the amount of people that actually look at our videos in English and in French, but it's not always about the amount. It's often about like having be open to the other, to the other culture, to the or to your even your culture as a social media coordinator, which is often different than the dominating culture. So like it just like it's often a matter of like not looking at the straight up numbers of like how many people watch your video in English and should you do English first content based on that. Like often it's just a question of like accessibility and like not always have like having the organization being open to all of the groups in the province, to all of the people. So I feel like there's a lot regarding that. But if you guys have any other questions or additions to add to that debate, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the difference, like looking at especially international organizations and like La Via Campesina or other organizations that work in even like three languages to see how they manage on social media. I think with two languages, it's kind of you can strike a balance between maybe you have your audio be in English and then the captions in French or vice versa. And I think and that way also like switching it up, like Annika said, having like also some French content in audio and then some English captions is good. And I think yeah, it makes more of a positive experience like that. But having one challenge I find is having captions in both English and French. I think for short form video, it's quite a lot to look at. So that's one part of accessibility that I think is struggled a little bit with our organization at the Farmers Union.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably true for the bilingual captions. But I feel like I had the same question and I just did it, and we had as much success as the other videos in terms of like views, but it's hard to measure like how do people actually get out of those videos. Like it's technically possible to do with the new AI tools, like with the new like you get like the French caption and then you can do well the French caption that is not the target language and then you do the English caption on the bottom and then it's like it's technically possible to do but should we do it like I'm gonna actually I have an example in this video on how to in this webinar on showing you how to do this, but the question is should we actually do it? So that's a great addition for the amount of space that it takes on the screen for the captions. And looking at international organizations is really helpful because often they deal with the same problems as us, but they have like three or four languages. So it's interesting, and they're probably rolling out new features. You never know with Meta if they're going to add or remove features in the future, but they're going to add, I think, Instagram Reel dubs, which is you can dub your Instagram Reel in like one language and have the other language be like I've looked at those features,
I
you have
think
the
they've
under
already launched it actually.
yeah. So they've launched
Yeah.
it for some people, but I haven't seen it yet for me. So it just depends on like what are they going to keep that feature or are they going to add it or we're kind of looking at that. But yeah. So if you folks have any other thing to add, but I'm gonna look at other parts of that debate. But if we can also move on to the next slide if we want to. Do we have anything in the chat, Aniko, or?
Yeah, we have a message from Riel saying we haven't done many videos, but in one case we did separate English and French versions and posted separately after seeing that it was pretty cluttered trying to include all the text in one. That said, this was a text-only narration, so we didn't have to worry about a script.
Yeah, that's great. About a script, yeah. Well, I feel like um, text only narration is different because well, if you have like a person, is she talking about a person in a video, do you think, or is she talking about like having the narration be recorded separately than the video because that can be two different things.
We just had text overlaying like video footage that I'd collected in the summer. We were trying to get some shorebird messaging out pretty quickly, so we didn't have as
Yeah,
time to do audio recording. Um,
right.
yeah,
I
so
feel like
it was
that's
only the text.
I feel like there are different things, but looking at text only things, it can be pretty cluttered to have two languages in the same thing. But I
Yeah.
feel like if there's narration on top of that, it kind of adds like it removes a layer of having to read everything for certain people. So it might change the thing. It might change, there's so many variables and we don't actually know how the audience responds to that. So I feel like that's a good debate to have. Yeah, but thanks for all the contributions. So we're gonna look at actually the different perspectives from that I've learned out of doing a few videos for that. Two basic options that we're looking at. AI as a quick tool for translation and subtitling. These are the basic options that are just available to us as with the new software that we have with CapCut and things like that. AI is a quick tool for translation and subtitling. So you have the narration in the original language, the subtitle in the other. So this shows that AI is like a it's possible to do that, but you have to understand the language for to correct the thing. So that's a given for any bilingual video. You do have to understand the language to actually be able to do the other language, but options might be more expensive, like CapCut. So there's different things to take into account for that one. You might need some money to pay for the software in terms of like being able to translate the automatically, but this does save a lot of time. This does like save time for the for the person actually doing the video, so doing the translation and subtitling. And then there's using video only with music. So there's multilingual by default, works when you have great footage. This is the standard multilingual option, is just to not have any narration. So just using video with music. These might catch less, tell less of a story, but I feel like it's still a way to tell the story if you have great footage. So it really depends on what you're doing. And like obviously, there's the third option of doing the AI narration, but this is problematic in many ways because it doesn't really capture the cultural part of the of the of whatever you want to push, whatever region you want to feature. And also like using AI as a narration is not very authentic for an organization. I feel so it might have some challenges in that, but I feel like it's better to use your own voice in narrating. So look at those options and try to take advantage whenever a feature pops up, like maybe dubbing in a certain language or something like that. But I can't really predict the future, so I can't say when what will be available, but be on the lookout for that for the bilingual videos. So what I had for the next part of the lunch and learn would be basically I have this little CapCut just to show you this CapCut interface. So this is the CapCut interface. So just to look at, you've got the timeline here. You can put all your videos together. You also have the different captions. So this is our video through that we did for the pollinator garden at Picaroons for Nature NB. And we have the different auto captions here, and then we can have the spoken language be English, but we can have the bilingual captions be in whatever language that we want. So it'll do it automatically, and you can just generate the subtitles with a pro account. So you can just like press on that, and it generates the captions. It just identifies everything. So this is what I mean by use AI as a tool, like it just does it for you. And you can't really spend all that time. Like it does take a lot of time editing every single subtitle and looking at putting it like in your video and like changing the language to the other language. translating everything and probably using AI because I feel like doing that stuff takes a ton of time, and I feel like AI is just making it possible nowadays. So it's just like a new thing that I wanted to show. You can see that I'm editing the look of the subtitles. I also just did like a little scrub through the translation to see that it was good. It's really good for that. And then yeah, we're just looking at like how I do the actual editing for a CapCut. It's really easy. I feel like pretty much anybody can do it, and it's anybody that has a computer and some kind of, prior knowledge of technical things, but video editing is more accessible than ever now. Sometimes it costs a bit for the subscription, but it's less expensive than Adobe to get CapCut, for example, or those like, newer software. But Adobe Premiere is now free on mobile, so I feel like there's many more options now than there were before. So this is the export. It's actually exporting now. This is actually sped up, so you don't see the full duration. But yeah, this is the video that it gives.
There's
So we're
a,
gonna so yeah, sorry.
there's a question in the chat from Nicholas saying, how do you find the translation? Is it accurate with regards to vocabulary for the captions?
So the translation through CapCut is actually pretty accurate, surprisingly, but I've only tested English to French. I have yet to test French to English, and that might be different with the local expressions and everything. But for English to French, this is a good workflow because you can correct everything yourselves in English and in French. And if you correct something in English, it automatically translates to French. So it's like whatever you corrected. So I feel like it's really easy to make the changes and to like get everything working. So, but anyway, yeah, this is really modular and you can change everything yourself. So I feel like we're gonna look at this recap video of the pollinator garden that I just exported through CapCut. So just if you have any questions, let us know in the chat while we're looking at this.
We really feel at the city that if we are to achieve our climate goals, we really need collaborative action, both from other levels of government, from civil society, and also our nonprofit sector. We were happy to see a partnership application from the National Watershed Association and Nature NB on this particular pollinator native plant garden that spoke really well to our climate change adaptation plan.
So the weather events are going to keep getting more extreme and more frequent. So things like rain gardens and pollinator gardens help. We plant native species and they retain a lot of water within the soil. And those native species attract local pollinators. And so that increases biodiversity in itself, which other species in the watershed and in New Brunswick depend on those native pollinators. So getting these small community projects on the go is really a good place to start, and then you can build on those.
And so many people know about the climate crisis, and they're talking a lot, especially in the municipal sphere, but they're not really talking about the biodiversity crisis. So I think this project helps bring those two together and gets municipalities thinking more about the biodiversity crisis, and then where nature groups can come in with their expertise in helping bring pollinators in to help attract birds. And so there's just such a wealth of knowledge within the nature community. And I really think that municipalities are missing that piece and are really happy to work with your members and Nature Canada's members to bring that expertise in to help build a better quality project.
There's a number of things that folks in Fredericton can do to engage with our work, having support and assistance from the community in terms of doing some yearly maintenance of the garden and just keeping an eye on things, documenting interesting birds or insects or other pollinators that might visit the garden, and then just keeping track of that over time so we can monitor the success of the project from a nature perspective is another way that folks can get involved.
So yeah, this was the video that we did for the pollinator garden, thanks to Nature Canada and City of Fredericton for the funding on that. We did a lot of videos, like we did like 5 of them, and like we had some mild success, with actually getting the people involved in this project, and the funders really liked it, and everybody was really interested. So yeah, I don't know if this bilingual captions thing worked for the video. If you guys have any like questions on like or like comments on how it actually was for you in like the intake of like the information, with the bilingual captions. I think the narration helps a lot in like putting the captions together, putting the captions on the screen, actually making them readable. Even if you don't understand the English language, you might be used to reading captions in French on the TV and actually looking at like the videos in that perspective. So I feel like the narration helps a lot. But if you guys have any like comments or questions on like how I did this, or how we can maybe improve and make bilingual videos more fun, this really helps in our reflection as a bilingual NGO. So yeah, please, do you have any more ideas on how to make bilingual videos fun is the actual question for this debate. So if you guys have any perspectives on that, please just open your mic and talk. That's the goal of this debate.
Moi, la seule chose que j'ajouterais comme ingrédient, c'est les différentes voix. C'était toutes des anglophones, ou
Mhm.
la voix était plus en anglais.
Yeah.
Avoir différentes voix dans leur langue maternelle, c'est intéressant. Pour moi, en tout cas, comme consommatrice de vidéos.
Mhm. I feel like that really helps if you have different interviewers in different languages. And like especially if it's their native language, so it's great. I think it was a challenge here because we were in a situation where the four people talking were Anglophone first. But the yeah, so I guess the this is great when you're in a bilingual province to have the two perspectives and the two languages and the two voices. It kind of justifies the shift to another language if you have different people talking. So that's a great point, actually. Now that there's a really not much time left, but we're gonna probably look at the other slide if nobody else has anything else to say. Do we have anything in the chat, Anika? Or okay, great. So now that we have all those debates and questions, I'm gonna just thank you for listening to this webinar, because I feel like, yeah, this was a pretty full 50 minutes. Do you have any questions, successes about implementing bilingual videos or videos in general in your organization? I want to thank Nature Canada, the New Brunswick Department of Intergovernmental Affairs, for funding and providing interpretation for this webinar. And then yeah, so I've put the software and in the slides. So I have a Premiere Desktop, CapCut Pro, Final Cut Pro, all of the different options that you can probably screenshot or look at when you're rewatching this webinar. And then yeah, so please let me know if you have any questions or successes through my email at samuel.legrelli@naturenb.ca. So yeah, I'm really glad you joined, and thanks for partaking in this webinar. I'm curious if there are any questions in the chat, Anika, for me to
No
actually
questions
respond.
yet, but
Okay.
s'il y a des questions, sentez-vous libre de lever la main, de unmuter votre micro, même si c'est juste des commentaires.
Yeah, any comments are welcome, because I'm really looking to
Ah,
increase yeah.
Sarah, go ahead.
Yes. So I was wondering if you had any recommendations for software. We have some beautiful footage, but the quality of the video isn't that great, and neither is the audio. Do you have any free softwares or cheap softwares that we could use to fix those things so we can make reels out of them?
Well, I feel like if the quality isn't good, it's better to do a vertical video, is what I'm going to say, and keep the quality, because AI, when you use it to actually enhance the quality of the video, it'll give you weird things, like AI does. It might add like an extra eye to your person. I'm being serious right now. Like it actually does that. And so if you have like lower quality, you might want to just do a vertical video and assume the lower quality, or in the future just decide to take better, well, like not better, but like use like a more enhanced phone, like a more recent phone, to actually take your footage, or there's all sorts of considerations you can make when filming, and that wasn't the topic of this webinar, because I did like a previous webinar last year where we talked about filming, and like I feel like this is another topic entirely. When actually filming, you need to be stable, you need to make sure that your quality is good. But yeah, it's all sorts of considerations, but I can't say there's an easy fix for that, sadly.
Sarah, I don't know what your stuff looks like, but maybe something that you could look at if your sound quality is not great is just doing a voiceover. So recording a voiceover in the office where your sound can be controlled and having better sound that way, and then using music to bring in some extra noise into your video. I don't know what your footage looks like though.
Yeah, it really depends on the quality of your footage, but it might be salvageable. It might not be I'm just not sure.
Um, Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
I should say thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
There's also a question in the chat saying, do you have any suggestions coming up with video ideas for videos? We haven't done many videos yet.
I'd say like just look at your story, like whatever you want to tell. Like for example, like we have stories in the field, like we have people going out in the field and actually like being out there. They might just have something interesting happen to them during the day, and then they can just take a film of that, take good footage. You can actually train them to take good footage with a lot. There's a lot of resources out there for doing that, and then they can take the footage, and that makes a great video because you have a story right there. That thing happened to them in the field, so they have like this story already that's baked into the video. So you can definitely use that to share your story that way. Or you can just look at trends, but that could be quickly overwhelming just looking at the social media trends and trying to decide what you do with them. I feel like the best way is to just take your organization, see what it actually wants to do, like actually wants to like promote, and then looking at those stories and um, actually putting them in a video format, and that can take so many forms because it's such a it's such a diverse format, and it has so many, like you can even do like animation, you can do all sorts of things, for video. Some things take a lot more money than others, but if you have like the capacity and the willpower to do all those things, everything is possible. Do we have other questions? I feel like we're good, and the webinar is pretty nearing the end, so thank you so much to NBN for presenting with us, and to Nature Canada for funding this initiative. It's a community of practice for nonprofits, and also the New Brunswick Department of Intergovernmental Affairs for providing the interpretation.
Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. I do encourage you to register for the second webinar in this series. I've just dropped the link in the chat. I would love to have you there as well as we continue building capacity around these kinds of topics. Okay. Merci tout le monde.
Thanks so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.